Red Lobster, the restaurant that brought seafood to suburban America. For decades, it was a symbol of comfort dining: shrimp, lobster tails, warm Cheddar Bay biscuits. But behind the scenes, a slow-moving financial disaster was unfolding. And the root cause wasn't food, customers, or competition. It was financial engineering, predatory ownership, and decisions that extracted value instead of building it. This is the untold story of how Red Lobster went from a national powerhouse to a bankruptcy case study. Red Lobster started in 1968, founded by Bill Darden, a man obsessed with bringing affordable seafood to the American middle class. At that time, seafood dining was mostly coastal, expensive, and difficult to scale. Darden flipped the model by building a supply chain that could deliver fresh seafood inland at predictable cost. The idea exploded. By the late 1970s, General Mills acquired Red Lobster and pumped massive capital into expansion. The chain became a household name. Clean decor, big portions, and the promise of a special night out that didn't break the bank. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Red Lobster ran countless national promotions. Endless shrimp, lobster fest, crab fest, affordable seafood plates for families. For decades, Red Lobster was stable. Not hypergrowth, not trendy, but dependable. A cash-generating machine with loyal customers. It wasn't a failing brand, it wasn't dying, it wasn't even in serious decline. The real trouble came later. In the 2000s, dining habits changed. Fast casual chains like Chipotle and Panera took market share. Younger consumers wanted faster, lighter options. Red Lobster's growth slowed, but it didn't collapse. It still generated consistent cash. However, Darden Restaurant, which also owned Olive Garden, had activist investors pushing them to unlock value. Translation: sell assets, spin things off, pay investors, forget long-term health. Red Lobster became a target. In 2014, Darden sold Red Lobster to Golden Gate Capital, a private equity firm.
Darden Restaurants plans to sell restaurant chain Red Lobster in a deal worth $2.1 billion. Darden, which also owns Olive Garden, has agreed to sell the seafood chain to private equity firm Golden Gate Capital.
Private equity firms typically use a leveraged buyout model. They buy a company using debt, then push that debt onto the company itself. But Golden Gate went further. They saw that Red Lobster owned a massive portfolio of restaurant real estate, valuable, debt-free properties. So they executed a move that has destroyed countless companies: a sale-leaseback. A sale-leaseback works like this. 1. The company sells its real estate for a big one-time cash payout. 2. Then it rents those same properties back at high rent forever. Golden Gate made hundreds of millions instantly, but Red Lobster inherited a ticking time bomb. Instead of owning its buildings, Red Lobster now owed long-term rent payments that grew over time. By 2023, that annual rent bill hit $177 million. That's catastrophic for a restaurant chain with no margins to spare. Suddenly, every restaurant location had to make significantly more money just to stay open. Not to grow, not to profit, simply to pay rent. This decision damaged the company in multiple ways. 1. No flexibility. If a location underperforms, most chains can move or close cheaply. Red Lobster couldn't. The leases were locked in. 2. Increased costs every year. Many leases had built-in annual rent increases. Even with flat revenue, costs went up. 3. Slashed cash reserves. Money that could have been used to renovate stores or improve technology was gone. 4. Vulnerability to inflation. Food inflation hit restaurants hard in the 2020s, but Red Lobster's rent obligations didn't care. They grew regardless. This wasn't a temporary hit. It permanently crippled Red Lobster's economics. From 2014 onward, the chain was running uphill with weights tied to its legs. In 2020, a new player entered the story: Thai Union Group, one of the world's largest seafood suppliers. They became the majority shareholder in Red Lobster. On paper, the combination made sense, a seafood supplier owning a seafood restaurant chain. But in practice, it created a conflict of interest. Thai Union wanted Red Lobster to buy more shrimp. Red Lobster wanted to cut costs and stabilize operations. Those two goals collided, and the result was one of the most destructive promotions in restaurant history. Endless Shrimp was always meant to be a limited-time marketing stunt. It worked in the early 2000s because the chain had high margins and low rent costs. But under Thai Union's control, Endless Shrimp became a permanent offer. It drove traffic, but it also drove losses. Customers were staying longer, eating more, and overwhelming kitchens. Operational chaos set in, slower table turnover. Overworked staff, rising food costs, increased waste, lower customer satisfaction. Thai Union, as the supplier, still made money from selling shrimp in bulk, but Red Lobster, the restaurant, lost money on every plate. This is what happens when the supplier controls the buyer. By this time, multiple forces were squeezing Red Lobster at once. 1. Rising rent locked-in leases from the 2014 sale-leaseback. 2. Rising labor costs. The post-pandemic labor market made hiring difficult and expensive. 3. Rising food prices. Seafood inflation hit margins brutally. 4. Declining traffic. Younger customers simply weren't choosing Red Lobster. 5. Store closures. Once one location fell behind, rent made it impossible to save. The company lost the ability to reinvest. Buildings became outdated, menus became stagnant, and competitors raced ahead. In May 2024, the collapse became official. Red Lobster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection.
Now to Red Lobster, it has officially filed for bankruptcy. Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis has the story. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, George. This is the largest seafood restaurant chain in the United States. They have about 650 locations, and they have filed for bankruptcy. The move comes weeks after Red Lobster abruptly closed locations in and around cities including Chicago, Denver, San Diego, Indianapolis, San Antonio, and Orlando. Red Lobster has been under pressure for some time, but when the restaurant chain offered a $20 endless shrimp deal during the pandemic,
the company listed over $1 billion in liabilities, a huge portion of it tied to long-term leases. Dozens of restaurants shut down overnight.
Lobster is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. You'll remember that Red Lobster closed dozens of its locations just last week, including 2 of them here in Dallas. The company is blaming rising costs and increased competition for all of its woes.
Employees arrived at work to find padlocks on the doors. Inventory was auctioned off within days. For many communities, Red Lobster wasn't just a restaurant, and it was a local landmark. Its abrupt disappearance shocked loyal customers nationwide. People blamed the endless shrimp promotion. Some blamed menu prices. Others blamed changing consumer tastes. But none of that is the real story. The core cause was financial extraction. Golden Gate Capital drained the company's real estate. Thai Union mismanaged promotions and used the brand to move product. Activist investors pushed for short-term gains over long-term stability. Rent obligations crushed cash flow. Red Lobster didn't die from bad food. It died because it was turned into a financial instrument instead of a restaurant. In late 2024, Fortress Investment Group and a consortium of lenders purchased Red Lobster out of bankruptcy. Their plan includes renegotiating leases, closing unprofitable stores, modernizing menus, revamping the brand, cutting dependence on Thai Union's shrimp supply. But recovery won't be easy. Consumer tastes have shifted. Competition is fiercer than ever, and the chain must rebuild trust with customers. Red Lobster's story is a cautionary tale. It teaches us how a stable, iconic American brand can be gutted not by customers, but by the people who owned it. When private equity firms extract value instead of building it, when suppliers prioritize their own profits over a restaurant's health, when financial engineering replaces real business strategy, a collapse is inevitable. Red Lobster may survive under its new owners, but the version of the brand Americans knew for decades is gone. This is what happens when a beloved restaurant becomes a victim of corporate greed. If you want to get into the details and read the full story, check out the complete article from the Pari Passu newsletter. Link in the video description.